All right, it's that time again. We're going to find out what happens to Rosebud. Remember, we left off with, well, I'll just read it so you can remember. Mrs. Woodhouse was asking Rosebud to go out and gather some eggs for breakfast. With a sigh, Rosebud took the basket and let herself out the back door of the house. As she rounded the corner and started down the path to the barn, she was startled to see Isaac talking to a strange man in the barnyard. She stopped and stood uncertainly, not sure what to do. Then her mouth went completely dry. The man talking to Isaac Woodhouse was the white-haired slave catcher that had taken her brother away on the chain gang. At just that moment, Isaac looked up and saw her. In a flash, his face contorted into an angry scowl. "You good-for-nothing, lazy girl," he shouted. "Get that broom and sweep the path like Mama told thee to." Rosebud was shocked. She started to protest, to tell Isaac that his mama wanted her to gather eggs, but he came toward her with his hand raised as if to strike her. She looked around frantically and saw an old broom leaning against the house. Dropping the basket, she started sweeping the path furiously, sending bits of dried leaves and grass flying. Isaac went back to talking to the slave catcher. Rosebud's heart was beating wildly. Would the man remember her? He didn't seem to. Maybe because she was wearing a bandana and a woman's dress now instead of the tow linen shirt she'd worn as a child last spring. But what could explain Isaac's sudden change in behavior? Unless she'd been tricked. The Woodhouses had let the other runaways go, but maybe they had kept her behind to make her their slave. After a few minutes, Isaac yelled at her again. "All right, that's enough. Now pick up that basket and get those eggs. Hurry, don't keep Mama waiting all day." Bewildered, Rosebud picked up the basket she'd dropped and ran to the barn, ducking inside its huge doors into the cool, dark interior. She could hear the man laughing behind her. The sweeping and running made her start to cough again, causing tears to well up in her eyes. What was happening? Why was Isaac talking to that evil man? She peeked out the door into the barnyard. She could see some big papers rolled up under the man's arm. As she watched, he took one out and unrolled it for Isaac to see. Rosebud squinted hard and then gasped. It was a drawing of Harriet Tubman. She was sure of it. Just then Isaac looked up and yelled, "What are thee looking at, girl? Get back in there and fetch those eggs." As Rosebud turned away, she heard the man continue. "There's a big fat reward for anyone who catches this she-devil," he said, grinning, "and for those that she's got with her. Slave owners are tired of their slaves disappearing when she comes around." "I don't blame them," Isaac nodded. "That's some reward, $20,000. "Yep. Well, you take this here poster and put it on your fence like you said. Somebody somewhere is going to get her. Maybe it'll be you." And he laughed again. "Meantime, you're doing a pretty good job keeping Sassy there in line." Rosebud saw Isaac take the poster and wave as the man mounted his horse and started back down the road. With a sinking heart, Rosebud shrank back against the inside of the barn door. Now she knew the truth. It was a trap. Either they would let her go and follow her so that she would lead them to Harriet Tubman, or they would keep her here, hoping Harriet would come back for her. Either way, freedom seemed to be slipping from her grasp. That's the end of the chapter. And I know this was a really short one. I'll make the new one for today too, so that you can hear chapter 11, I Am Rosalie, I Am Free. We'll find out about that in the next one.